Welcome to your passport to paradise. This is expert tips for first-time home buyers in the DR. All right. And again, my name is Michelle Bordeaux. So I want you to know just a little bit about me so you know who's presenting to tonight and who your host is. So I am originally from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. I moved to the Dominican Republic in 1999 at the baby age of 25. I learned to windsurf and I chose to stay. I loved it. I opened and ran a successful solo massage therapy practice that evolved into my award-winning spa, which is now called Endari Spa, located still in Cabarete. In 2003, I purchased my very first home here in the Dominican Republic. In 2009, I developed something called the Cabarete Butterfly Effect, which is the largest women's water sport event in the Caribbean. And it's been happening now for over 17 years. In 2015, I sold that first home I bought, and I bought my second. So I'm not just a realtor, I am also a homeowner here. In 2020, I created another little company. You can tell I'm an entrepreneur called Naj Designs. It's a boutique hand block cotton robe company. And in 2021, I stepped up and joined the team here at Realtor DR, and I have never looked back. It has been one of the greatest things I've ever done, and I can't wait to show you why. Okay, so like I do in all of my webinars, so for most people, I want to make sure that you are in the right place. So just like in Harry Potter, we're going to put on the sorting hat and make sure that you're in the right place. So this is for you. If you've been daydreaming about a home in the Dominican Republic, but you're not quite sure where to start, you're a first-time buyer and you want to understand the real steps, the legal stuff, and what to expect. This is for you. If you've got a million questions and you want real, honest answers from someone who lives and works here. This is for you if you're curious about the lifestyle. What's it like to live here? The beaches, the culture, the community, and you want to know if it could be a good fit for you. This is for you if you're planning a move or an investment in the DR, but you want to make sure that you do it safely and smartly. All right, this is also for you if you've been Googling things like crazy, like how to buy a home in the DR, and all you end up is more confused than when you started. And lastly, this is for you if you just want to feel confident before making one of the biggest decisions of your life. So I hope that you're all here in the right place, and I'm excited to take you through the buying process. Before we get started, let's make sure you also understand where we are. So why on earth would you want to buy a property here in the Dominican Republic? So for those of you who know, so I've got a lovely little map here that shows you in relationship to Cuba, Florida. Here's the Dominican Republic with the map. We are on the island of Hispaniola. We occupy the eastern 2/3 and we share the island of Hispaniola, the western 1/3 with Haiti. It's the second largest island in the Caribbean, and we boast some of the highest mountain ranges in the Caribbean. Our Pico Duarte is just over 10,000 feet tall, or 3,100 meters. So the Dominican Republic has a very, very vibrant color. Dominicans are happy and delighted to share their culture with you. There are always gorgeous landscapes, no matter where you go, and very diverse sort of nature and ecosystems that exist here on this island. We have warm weather all year round. You will be shoveling sandcastles and not snow piles anymore. We have a diverse international community here, and there are many languages spoken. We've got many North Americans, many Europeans, many South American and Latin Americans here. It is just a beautiful melting pot. You can get quality food at affordable prices. You get island life for sure. We have amazing beaches, mountains, rivers. The economy here is very, very stable. We have one of the fastest growing economies in Latin America. Tourism here is booming. We have been breaking records year after year in tourism arrivals. The government here has made it a priority to be a leader in tourism here in the Caribbean. It's also an outdoor adventure paradise. The Cabarete Sosúa area is known as the water sport capital of the Caribbean. We have world-class surfing, windsurfing, kite surfing. It's amazing. And even if you don't even if you're not athletic, it is honestly beautiful just to watch. Quality of life. We have a quality of life here that people back home just can't get. There is no rat race here. It is very much island time. And there's affordable healthcare. Doctor's visits here are, you can pay out of pocket and you're going to be okay. And in addition, there is affordable insurance. And we've got excellent international accredited schools. I've got two beautiful girls and they go to one really nearby, and we couldn't be happier. And there's like 4 or 5 here just on the North Coast. And if you're interested in Punta Cana, they've also got great international schools as well. So if you choose to move here and make the big move with your family, everyone will have a place and everyone will be taken care of. So let's jump in. The buying process. How does it work here? Start with choosing an incredible realtor and brokerage to partner with. You need to choose the right realtor and brokerage at the start of your buying journey. It is absolutely key to you having a safe and seamless process. Having a trusted agent by your side means you get expert guidance, local insight, and someone who truly has your best interest at heart. And we here at Realtor DR encourage you to inspect what you expect. So even if you'd like, obviously, I would love for you to come here and all of you be here with us at Realtor DR. And if you choose to, we are confident that you can put us up to any brokerage or any realtor, and you will be choosing Realtor DR every time. So next up, you've got your realtor. They're guiding you. They're giving you all the insight you need. You got to choose a property. So you go on tours. You can either tour virtually if you're doing most of this search from back home, because you don't necessarily have to be here. You can complete this entire process virtually. But you do get to choose a property and with the expert, and you're going to choose either probably a condo or a villa for purchase new or resale. And there's also pre-construction purchases. Okay, after you've chosen a property, you and your agent are going to write up what's called an offer to purchase. All right, it's prepared by us, signed by the buyer, and then we present it to the vendor or developer. And then once your offer is accepted, because of course it'll be accepted, the vendor agrees and signs off on the price and conditions set out in the offer to purchase. And then you get to meet with your lawyer, and we have great lawyers, by the way, for in-depth instructions and information. We will have no problems connecting you. We have multiple lawyers here in the area who are incredible. They are trustworthy. They are go-to people, and they will be helping you and guiding you through the due diligence process, making sure that whatever property we do choose is 100% available for sale, both literally and legally. So now what happens? We move through into what's called deposit and due diligence. This is where your lawyer comes in. Now, the lawyers that we choose to connect you with here have escrow accounts in the United States, which make it incredibly easy for those of you who are in, say, Canada, the United States, or even Europe to transfer money easily and seamlessly to their US escrow accounts, and they'll take care of moving the money the rest of the way for you. Again, between the time of offer to purchase and closing, this is what's going to happen. You would move your money and the lawyers would begin the due diligence process. Your money will go into, again, your lawyer's escrow account and will be held there safely until the signing of the final contract of sale. And this document, which is kind of similar to the offer to purchase, it's much more lengthy, obviously, which has all of the, the legal clauses and such in it. It will be prepared in Spanish and you can receive a copy of it in English. Okay, that way you can be certain that you're understanding everything that you're signing and you feel 1,000% comfortable with the process going forward. And also, again, the lawyers that we recommend all speak English. So you're going to be okay with that as well. There'll be full understanding. Okay, so balance of the funds. Like I said, you're going to be sending your money over to your lawyer. Okay, this will be the balance. In the beginning, we would have sent just a deposit. And then after that's been moved and we've signed that beautiful contract of sale, the property is all yours. Then your lawyers are going to work on something called the deed of sale or the contrato de venta. And this is the final contract that's used to convey the property from the seller to the buyer. Okay. And if we skip the promesa de venta, okay, then we go straight to the contrato de venta. That's the final sale. And then it's all yours. And then welcome home. So then what happens? After you sign the contracts, your lawyers will begin the process of transferring the title into your name, okay, which usually takes anywhere from, it's usually between 30 to 60 days. It's pretty quick these days. And in the case of you not buying in a personal name, or if you choose to purchase your property in as a company, you can do that. We can get into that. Then in the case of a resale, the share ownership is transferred to the buyers upon the completion of the transaction. Okay, and then welcome home. So here you are. So let's get back into that whole buyer agency relationship. All right. So this is what your realtor gets to do for you. The home buying process here is not complicated. It's actually fairly straightforward, providing that the property that we're looking at, there's no liens on the property, that the property is free and clear, and the title has what we call a deslinde, which means it has its GPS coordinates done, and everything is legal and good to go. The process is fairly simple. It's not quite as complicated as back in the United States or Canada. So when we get to meet, and I know some of you already, and some of you I'm excited to get to know more after this webinar. But our buyer agency relationship, so what happens is we want to make sure that we maintain communication with you and that we're always replying to you in a timely manner. You can come here and be on island time. We will not be on island time with you. Okay, we will be diligent and we are committed to responding to you as quickly as possible. We're going to be providing you with helpful community data. So your realtor here is someone who is going to be your connection to the community. You want to know where the best places for dinner. You want to know which bank to use. You want to know where's the dentist, where's the doctor. We're not just your realtor for that transaction. You become like family, you become part of our community, and we're here to help you through everything, absolutely through everything. We want to make sure that you understand the whole entire process from start to finish. We're going to explain all of the legal details. Obviously, I am just, as I told you, brushing through, the general, mode of operation through the buying process. And there's much more details, and we're here to answer your questions every step of the way. We're going to make sure that we carefully explain the offer to purchase and prepare all of those forms for you. And of course, we are going to be the person working on your behalf, to obtain the best possible price and terms for you on every single purchase. So in return, what do we ask from you? We just ask that for you as a client, that you communicate responsibly and honestly with us, and that you let us know if anything changes, and that, the more that you can share with us about your current, where you are currently versus where you like to be, the better that we can assist you in bridging that gap. All right. And again, if you need to do any sort of financing, anything like that, then you need to let us know ahead of time so that we can best assist you in a very, very quick and timely manner. All right. And also, we want to inform any other real estate agents that you're now working with us. Okay. So I hope that explains everything. And Matthew, I'm going to get to your questions in a little bit. And yes, well, actually, we can get to that one right now. So if you decide on a pre-owned home, is there a home inspection process with a report? So yes, we have home inspectors here. They're usually engineers who will do the home inspection process. So yes, absolutely. The buyer tends to be the one that's going to pay for the home inspection. And you can absolutely have any property inspected. Typical costs for closing, I'm going to get there. All right. So first, meet the team. This is our incredible team of realtors here at Realtor DR. We have agents from all over the world, from the United States, from Canada, from the Dominican Republic, of course, from the Czech Republic, from France, from where else do we have? From France, from England. So we have a really, really great, diverse team. We have incredible, amazing personalities. Everyone in this office is dedicated and committed to be the best possible professional for you. All right. So some of you may be here because someone you're connected to in this office actually reached out and invited you. So this is our team. Please get to know us. And if you're with somebody already, drop their name here in the chat. Let us know who invited you here today. I would love to know. Okay, so let's do a quick FAQ. All right, so can foreigners buy property in the DR? Absolutely, yes. So this government, or the government of the Dominican Republic for many years now, is incredibly pro foreign investor. Okay, so foreign investment here is an absolute priority, and they've made it incredibly, incredibly easy. There are literally almost zero barriers to entry here. You basically, you need your documents and you need your funds, and that's basically it. If you're buying a pre-construction or you're doing any, transferring to local Dominican banks instead of using our escrow accounts, you might need to provide some bank statements, but otherwise that's it. There are no residency required. There is no other visa required for you to purchase property here. It is incredibly easy. All right, look at this. We've got Rebecca, Cornell, Robert, Aneris. Great. It's so nice to see wonderful, friendly faces here and to know that you're connected with so many of our wonderful team members. So what are the additional costs in a real estate transaction? So typically, our closing costs are going to be anywhere from 4 to 6% additional to your sales. Okay. So you're going to have anywhere from 1 to 2%, okay, are going to be for lawyers' fees. 1 to 2, because there are different lawyers that you can use. And they also, certain transactions are going to require 2 contracts. So if you're going through like a pre-construction contract, you're going to be maybe closer to 2% simply because they're going to process your offer to purchase. They're going to prepare the promise of sale. They're going to do due diligence, and then they're going to do the closing contract. Whereas some sales are more simple and they go straight from offer to purchase, due diligence to the final contract of sale. And so there would be less contracts. So that's how you'd end up with a range like that. And 3% is title transfer tax. So that's to move the title from the seller's name into your name, the buyer. Okay. All right. Can you receive quality healthcare here in the Dominican Republic? Not only can you receive quality healthcare here, it is very, very affordable. So again, a standard visit to a general physician, to a GP, is about $25 without insurance. And you can get a top tier insurance policy for about $400 USD a year. That may cover you up to, around $300,000 in insurance costs here. Things like dental and optometry are very, very good here. You have high quality optometrists, high quality dentists, and you can get things far more reasonably, even if you're just paying straight out of pocket. Okay, it is absolutely affordable here. Are there additional costs to homeownership? Yes. So property taxes. We all get to pay property taxes. That is depending on the value of your property. There is currently an exemption level of approximately 170,000 US dollars. That means that if your property is below 170,000, you pay no property tax. And if your property is above, I've given you an example here that says, say your property is valued at 200,000, you're going to pay 1% yearly on the difference, which would be $30,000 that you would pay 1% of that. Okay, so it's quite reasonable. There is dental insurance, but again, it's pretty good. And for you, if you're a veteran, Edward, there are a number. If you're a United States veteran, there's a number of VA offices here designed to assist you and connect you with the right clinics that will support you. So how long can you stay here in the Dominican Republic? So the DR's policy for extended stay of non-residents is very, very relaxed. Again, they know that we get a ton of people who come here for the winter, people who come from November to April. And instead of making it a complicated, difficult process, they've made it very, very easy. What that means is you pay for your tourist visa with your flight ticket. That lasts for 30 days. After that 30 days, you don't need to go running back and forth across a border or find some government office to extend. You simply show up for your flight back home, whenever that is, and you will pay a fee based on the number of days over that initial 30 that you stayed over. And just to give you an easy example, say anything from that 1 to 3 month period is about $55 US. So it's quite reasonable. Obviously, it goes up every tier of time, but it is not punitive, meaning you're not in trouble. Okay, they've designed it to work this way. So you're not in trouble when you go to the airport and you pay that fine for staying over. You absolutely will be let back into the country. And again, it just keeps it very, very simple. All right. And it's reasonable. Do I need to get residency if I own property? No, you do not. Absolutely not. You can own a property as still staying a citizen of another country. You can pursue something here called legal residency and or Dominican citizenship if you'd really like to, but it is not necessary for you to own a property. So you can purchase anything here in the Dominican Republic, come and go as you please, and leave your life basically as intact as it is right now. Okay. So that was a super quick presentation, not too long, not too complicated, because this is where all the golden nuggets are going to lie. And this is going to be in your amazing questions that are going to come here. So I'm going to stop my share here and let's jump back because I know that there's been a lot of questions coming in this amazing chat here. Thanks, Brett, for answering that question on the oh my goodness, words, inspection. That's the word I was looking for. All right. So is there a realtor fee? So for you as a buyer, no. Our fees come from the seller. So that's where our commission comes from. So hi, can't wait to work with you. Any clinics that do stem cell work? I bet you that there are. I don't know of one off the top of my head, but it would be easy for us to figure that out for you if you'd like some help with that. So yeah, I talked about veterans. Confotur. Okay, so here's a question from David Fung. Hi, David. Can you speak to the Confotur law for tax exemptions with respect to the last question, which was about property taxes? So Confotur is a tourism incentive tax exemption. So it's a tourism foreign investment tax exemption incentive that will come along generally with a development that is pre-construction. Okay, so Confotur is granted to a developer whose project qualifies and that they have done all of the work to apply for it. All right, if the project qualifies for Confotur, what that means for you is you will be exempt from paying the title transfer tax. So no more 3% of closing costs, those go away. You will also be exempt from paying your property taxes for 15 years, and you will be exempt from any income on that property and any capital gains for 15 years. It is only applicable to the very first purchaser after Confotur has been granted. And once the title has been put in the name of that first buyer, that's it. It's not transferable through the whole 15 years. So I hope that helps. And yes, projects with Confotur are awesome. So what's the average ROI on investment properties? So we have this amazing tool here at Realtor DR that's been designed by one of our agents whose name is Tomas, and he is incredible. What we can do for you is any property that you get interested in, we can do a complete breakdown of exactly how much cash it's going to cost you to get into that property and what we predict is going to be the ROI. But generally, for really good investment properties, we're looking for, 10% or more, cash of ROI on your cash when you come into a property. And you can see our beautiful tool will break it down for you based on the expected nightly rate of occupancy And, and then the amount of occupancy that's general around here, at least on the North Coast, is around 55 to 60% is about average. Can be a little bit higher in some places in Punta Cana, but they also, we have two amazing high seasons here on the North Coast, not just one. So we're very blessed that it spreads out our, it increases our percentage of occupancy and spreads out the revenue that your investment property can generate. Okay. How difficult is it to sell a property in the future for your kids, for example? Okay, so here in the Dominican Republic, we are based in what's called Napoleonic law. So French law is where the legal system here is based. It is not like the US or Canada. And generally properties, if you have not designated and written out a very specific will, your properties will automatically be inherited by your children. And then they can sell them, but all the children must agree. Or else the property will not be able to be sold. So it's always good to have that great chat with your family and make sure that everyone knows what's up. But it is very, very easy. And if you'd like, you can stipulate in a will, create a separate document that could designate the property to someone other than your children. And then let's see. What type of lawyers do I need to make sure the title on the property is legally protected? Again, we have an amazing roster of lawyers here that work in the Sua Cabarete area that we can help connect you with. And again, if it's in Punta Cana, we can also help connect you with great legal teams that are insured to make sure that your property is free and clear of any liens, that it is legal for sale, and there are no issues at all with your title, so that you're getting a very, very safe investment. Let's see, what else do we have here? Where are the best places to live and integrate, to integrate versus the tourist areas? Well, in all honesty, here up on the North Coast, you have the best of both worlds. So you get the best of tourist areas, but we're also incredibly integrated here, with our amazing Dominican community. So I vote here as far as ease of life, ease of having a few things and people that are familiar to you, but being surrounded and embraced by the incredible Dominican community here on the North Coast. But if you wanted to, make sure that you were fully in it, you could always try, say, Santo Domingo or Puerto Plata. Puerto Plata, even though it's got a robust tourism industry, I would say is a city of such a size that is far more predominantly Dominican, yet you're still close enough here to Sosúa and Cabarete that you could come on over and visit. So Puerto Plata could be another great option for you. Let's see, there's no MLS here. We do not have an MLS here like you have in the United States. High seasons. When are high seasons? High seasons here are generally mid to late December, obviously, until usually mid to end of April. Okay, depending on, when the Easter holiday hits. And then here again in Sosúa Cabarete, we have a second high season in July and August, especially in Cabarete, because it is windy season and all of our wind sport athletes flock here with their families, stay for at least, anywhere from, 2 to 4 to 6 weeks over the course of the summer and enjoy our beautiful, consistent, lovely trade winds. Okay. Great. Corey, yes, let's connect. So can multiple people own a singular property? Absolutely, they can. You can have multiple people on a title. That's not a problem. Again, you want to be mindful of the succession of that property. And you want to keep things very, very clear amongst yourselves as a group. And if there is any doubts or you'd like to do things differently, you can always purchase a Dominican corporation. That will cost you approximately, $1,300 more or less to acquire a Dominican corporation that would allow you to put the property in the corporation's name, and then all of the owners would become shareholders. And then that makes it easy for individual owners to come and go, to leave, to add on different ones, etc. Okay. And again, that's something that we would help you to make that decision in conjunction with your lawyer. All right. Can you purchase homeowners insurance for property? Absolutely. So here, there are many, many properties here are covered in an HOA. So say if you're purchasing a condo, the exterior of your condo, meaning the walls and the roof and the common areas, are going to be covered in your HOA and your HOA's insurance. And you would be purchasing insurance for the contents of that property. If you have a single home, a standing alone, yes, you can also buy insurance for that. And we've got a couple of wonderful agents here that, of course, we're going to connect you with. So you don't need to worry. Let's see. So, okay. Do we sell properties in Juan Dolio? We don't currently have any listings in Juan Dolio here with Realtor DR. However, if you'd be interested and you'd like us to assist you, we can go and help you find one. Okay. Talk to me about hurricanes. Oh, I'd love to talk to you about hurricanes. So here on the North Coast, we are blessed. I have been here for 26 years. So in 26 years, yes, we've had storms that have come by and I have experienced hurricanes. However, I have never experienced anything more than a high category 1, maybe barely category 2 strength wind. Why? Because remember those mountains I was talking about at the beginning of the webinar? Well, those incredible mountains are quite significant and they are constantly pushing high pressure off of them just enough that it nudges any storm far enough away from us. You only need half a degree of latitude in order to make sure that an eye of a storm does not make landfall. Okay. And so that is why here on the North Coast, we are blessed. We have not in my 26 years ever sustained a direct hit by a significant storm. Okay, so again, we are blessed. There are other areas of the island that have sustained direct hits, say in the south of the island, because they miss having the buffer of Puerto Rico, which we're blessed with up here. Sorry, Puerto Rico, and sometimes the south does get hit, but up here on the north, we are safe. The other factor here is everything here is built with cinder block and rebar. Okay, we're not built out of wood here, and that, most properties here have backup generators already. So we don't end up having the massive, like electrical outages that destroy, life for like days and weeks to come afterwards. So even if we were to lose street power for a few days, most of us have backup generator power that allows us to sustain life with little to no evidence that a storm has even come through. We do get messy. That's about it. Do I recommend cash purchase or financing here? Definitely, I would say more than 90% of the purchases that happen here are all cash. However, we work diligently with our sellers to provide some owner financing options. And an owner financing option might look something like 50% down and the remainder paid off over 5 years. Let's say 7%. That's a pretty common one that we get with our sellers. There is financing available here in the country. We have an incredibly wonderful human being. His name is Cesar, and he has just come to join the team this year, and he is our in-house mortgage specialist. So for anyone who's needing financing, I would connect you directly with him, and he would help you work with the banks to see what's possible for you. Financing does look different here than it does, say, in Canada, the United States. You do need more money to put down than you would back home. The most a Dominican bank will finance is up to 70% of their assessed value of a property. So not necessarily the sales price. It's of the bank's assessed value of the property. So you need to sort of have that 30 to 40%, I say, to be safe. They will amortize up to 25 years. And at this point in time, I think the best interest rates we're getting for locked in for 5 years. So they'll amortize for 25. They'll lock you in for about 9% right now for 5 years. And then at 5 years, it gets renegotiated. Okay, so how difficult is it to ship your personal vehicles from Florida to the DR and the cost? Okay, hi Grant. It's not as easy as you'd like it to be. It is a complicated process. And what we would want to do is we'd want to hook you up with a customs broker who'd be able to assist you with that process. Honestly, the amount of customs and duties and taxes you are going to pay to bring that car in and the amount of time it's going to take you to get through that process, you are much better off to sell your vehicle back home and purchase something here that is on island, brought in either by, either new from any of the dealerships that are here, and we have most of the ones that you're accustomed to knowing. And or there's a very healthy used car business here where they bring vehicles over. Okay. When buying pre-construction, if there are any delays, what rights does a buyer have, and what legal ramifications can arise from a prolonged closing? Generally, in a pre-construction purchase, the timelines are usually fairly well delineated. There is always going to be clauses in the contract for weather. For example, if there's a prolonged rainy season, you cannot mix concrete out in the rain, so things will be delayed, and there are clauses in the contract for that. And there's no stipulation back to you. There are other developers who are very dedicated to delivering on the timelines that they've said, barring external circumstances such as weather or a global pandemic, something like that could happen. Okay. And those will be built into your contract. And those are things you're going to want to work with your lawyer on as you prepare your contract to sign the promise of sale with that developer. Okay, so it varies. It does vary a little bit from developer to developer, but generally it is fairly well spelled out. Let's see. There is not a private mortgage industry here in the DR. Nope. Let's see. Can I speak as quick as I can to citizenship for a retiree? High level would suffice. You can, if you'd like to, you can pursue what's called legal residency. And that gives you basically all the benefits of being a citizen, except for the ability to vote and hold a passport. So if you prefer the passport of your own country, and obviously you can keep it as well, even if you do become a Dominican citizen, you can hold dual citizenship. Most countries allow that. The process, I think, to become a legal resident is usually, I think, about a year to get through the whole process. Yes, purchasing a property over 200,000 helps you out, but you still have to go through the process. Your docs still have to be translated, and you still have to go down to the Capitol and do your medical tests and all that stuff. But it's about a year to become a legal resident, and I believe becoming a citizen takes a little bit longer. I've only gone to the point of becoming a legal resident, just FYI. Okay. So personal items, container, furniture. You can bring a container in if you like. Again, we'd want to connect you with some of our great freight forwarding companies that are going to be able to help you out and help you have an idea of what that's going to cost. So you know what you're getting into and whether it's worth it, yes or no. All right. Okay, let's head over here because I haven't even been into the Q&A. Let's see. I have a property management company in the USA, and I bought a property in the DR. I'm planning on doing Airbnb and want to know if I will be responsible for paying DR taxes and USA taxes, and what are your recommendations? Okay. So your DR taxes on your property are going to be your property tax. So that's going to be your EP. And then, depending on what your income is, you're going to want to connect yourself with an accountant to be able to see if you are going to be responsible for any income taxes. I do believe there's a certain amount up until you are exempt. Again, same with the property tax. And so you're going to work with an accountant to understand that. And then if you're an American, sorry, your country will continue to tax any of your earnings and your assets over here in this country. Yep. Military TRICARE accepted. I am not certain. That's going to be a great question for one of our VA offices that exist here in Cabarete, Sosúa, and Puerto Plata, and Santiago. There are several. So can we cap potential price increases of pre-construction? So generally, that cap is going to be acknowledged in your contract of sale. Okay. There's usually a little bit of a buffer, especially after what everyone went through during the course of the pandemic with the increase of a cost of goods. So there is, yes, and it is capped. So there is a percentage that's agreed upon in the contract just to account for any catastrophic things happening. So the property taxes, once you turn 65, it can be true. However, it is not like an automatic thing. Ding, you turn 65 and all of a sudden it just evaporates. It is a process that you have to apply for, and you're going to want to work with your lawyer to see if that's going to be possible or worthwhile for you, because sometimes sometimes things are worth it. Sometimes they're not. So I would highly suggest that that's something that you're going to work personally with your lawyer to see if you can make happen. Yes, technically and practically, again, it's not something I would recommend that you tackle alone, that you get an accountant or a lawyer to walk you through those steps. Okay. All right. I think that is all in our Q&A. I'm going to go back to our chat here. Okay. So if you own a property as partners and you move to a Dominican corporation, will you then maintain the 15-year tax exemption under Confotur? I'm not 1,000% sure, Wade, on that. It's a great question. And I do know that when you're in a corporation, you do lose some tax exemption rights. For example, on a standard purchase, not necessarily Confotur, you lose the tax exemption on the EP. So which is your property tax, and you have to pay the 1% of the whole price. You also, under a corporation, need to file accounting every single year. So that accounting fee is usually about $200. And as far as, with the Dominican corporation, I would need to check on that one. So that's a great question. And I'm going to find you after, and I'm going to get that answer for you. Let's see. What else do we have? Did we miss anything? Okay. So how soon, so Patrick, I'm not sure. We have, how soon can you rent in a condo, or do you have to live there first for a year? No, you do not have to live there first for a year. You can purchase a property and not have even been here. Okay. We can do all of the documents from afar. And let's see. So recommendation as to which is best preferred or least risky: 1, buy land and build; 2, pre-construction, benefit from Confotur; 3, pre-existing construction, finance or cash sales. Pros and cons. David, amazing question. That's a multi-layered one. Okay, so buying land and building yourself on your own, it's just as safe. However, it's obviously much more complicated, and you would want to make sure, and we can absolutely help you with that here at Realtor DR. We have incredible architects and construction companies and people that we work with here. So we'd be absolutely delighted to connect you with those people. It does require, I would say, for you to be at least present during parts of the build, because you're going to have, obviously anyone who builds a property is going to have a lot of decisions to make. So that's definitely the most involved route, but we'll give you the most custom experience. And we've done that for people, say here in Sua Ocean Village. We've assisted people with buying a property, building a house, and they have turned out amazing. It's been spectacular to watch these incredible designs come to life. So absolutely, you can do that one. Again, I'd say that's the most involved of all of them. So pre-construction, Confotur, benefits. So not all, remember, all pre-construction projects have Confotur, but if you seek one out, pre-construction can be an amazing way for you to get into a property at an incredible price point, that will allow you for some rapid appreciation. Okay. And it also means that you get into a property that's brand new. No one's used it. Everything is new. Things are being built to today's standards. And you know that you're starting from scratch on a property and that you've got its entire life in front of you. I would say the con maybe could be that you gotta wait for your ROI. So you're going to be paying paying over construction installments during the course of construction. So that can look anything like 20% when you first separate the unit, to 30, 40, or 50% during the course of construction, and then the remainder when you get your key. So that piece is nice, but then you're not able to rent that property for another, say, anywhere from year to 2 years, until it's ready to go and it's finished, furnished, and good to go to rent. Okay, so a little bit delayed ROI, but you get in a great price point to a new property. Pre-existing construction, that is as instant gratification as it gets. You come down here, you fall in love with a property, and you get it, and you can be in quite quickly. I have had transactions be completed in so far in say like 10 days to 2 weeks has been the fastest. Standard, closing times when we're doing an all cash transaction are usually, anywhere from, 4 to 6 weeks, but again, like I said, they can be faster if everyone's ducks are in a row and money is moved quickly and due diligence happens, in a rapid fashion. Okay, so you've got but then, if you get a pre-existing property, it does usually come furnished, which again makes it really easy. So you've got quick turnover. However, you may get a property that's maybe not 100% exactly the way you want it. And maybe you want to do some upgrades, which some people love, some people no, thank you. So that's going to really depend on you and, the type of experience that you're looking for, but all three are safe. All three have pros and cons, and we're here as agents and realtors to help walk you through those pros and cons so that you can make a super informed decision. All right, looks like we've got a few new ones down here. Okay, so what can I tell you about the Meeches area? The Meeches area is very, very exciting. It is located, so I don't know if you can see our beautiful map over here. We've got the little peninsula. Where is it? That way. The Samana Peninsula. On the opposite end of the Samana Bay is Meeches. It is an hour and a half northwest of the Punta Cana airport, and it is an area that is exploding with incredible resorts and developments. And we are excited that we're going to have a brand new development that we are going to be listing soon, very, very soon. It's going to be coming up in the next week. So I want you to keep your eyes posted on that one, and probably on a webinar for that not too long ago. But Meeches has, I believe, about 40 kilometers of beach coastline. There are several large resorts there already: Club Med, Dreams, Marriott, Viva. However, the area is still, with the exception of some of those large resorts, is fairly quiet still. So it's a great time to get in at Meeches. So I'd be delighted to talk about that. Let's see. Do you offer short-term rental property management? There are a number of us here inside of Realtor DR that do have small property management companies, and we would be delighted to take care of you all the way from, from the first time that you get curious to finding that property, taking you through the legal bits to continuing on with you as your property managers. And so, yes, absolutely. And if it's not one of us, there are many property managers in the area, so you can feel free to interview several and find the one that works for you. But property management here is a big deal because many people, just like yourself, most of our clients here, they purchase and they're either, in a state of transition where they purchase their property, they use it for their own vacation, and they want it to pay for itself the rest of the year, and they use a property manager to take care of all of those things. So yes, absolutely. Has the DR real estate ever crashed? Not to my knowledge, Trevor. Let's see. What else do we have here? Okay. We answered the question about Meeches. Okay, so if you find a condo for 195K and you're a couple, yes, you can absolutely get residency. And the property will still go towards your financial solvency box that gets to be ticked on the residency process. You can absolutely get your residency. You don't need to purchase a property to get residency. The property purchase of over 200,000 just helps to speed up the process. Okay, it doesn't automatically make residency appear. So you still get to go through, like I said, the whole process. And it would just be a little bit different if you've got the 200,000 or you don't. Okay. So Tomas is asking here, since most properties are purchased fully in cash, yeah, the crash would not work as it would in the US. That's a great point, Tomas. Thank you. Yeah, we don't have mortgages here like you have back home. Like, hence the different structure of the mortgages. And it's not that easy for people to acquire loans here, or it's certainly not at the interest rates that you have access to in North America. Okay. So what are the best areas to build if you're using an Airbnb? Great question. So anywhere here in the North Coast, the questions that you always want to ask yourself is, if you're going to be building, where is it located? Obviously, what amenities are close by or within the area? So for example, if you bought a lot in Sua Ocean Village and wanted to build there, or versus say Lomas Meronas or in Cabarete, what is your distance to easy things? What are things that tourists are going to want to have in your property? So you want to think like a tourist as you're purchasing a property and ask yourself, is this somewhere that I would like to stay on vacation? Answer yes, go for it. Okay. What is my favorite private school for kids? Well, I am a little bit biased. However, there are many great schools. I'll tell you the one that my girls go to, a school called Isla Academy. I am the president of the Isla Parent Association. So I am, I'm very pro Isla Academy. However, there are several wonderful schools here, just as good as Isla Academy, but with a different educational philosophy. So we've got the International School of Sosua. We've got the European School. There is several smaller schoolhouses that exist in and around the area. And you have many, many options and many different, like I said, educational philosophies that you can choose the one that's going to work best for your kids and your family. Okay, but there are no shortage of options. And then in Punta Cana, there are several large international schools that exist there as well. So really international schools, that box is ticked no matter where you're going to go. Okay. Oh, the best school for adults to learn Spanish, that's going to depend on where you are. But there are great schools here to help everyone learn Spanish. So again, that's a really location dependent question, but they absolutely exist. Okay, so Jake, you're asking, what can I expect to pay for a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom condo near the ocean? Again, that's really going to depend on your location. That can go, I want to say anywhere from a couple $100,000 up to, over $1 million or $2 million. It really just depends on the location and the project. So there is a great variety and there is just about something for everyone. Obviously, oceanfront apartments are a little bit harder to come by, but they're absolutely doable. And we've got some great projects in Cabarete that are absolutely affordable. You can get in Cabarete Bay currently, like inside the bay, so front of the ocean, just over 500,000 on a 1-bedroom. The 3 beds are gonna take you up closer to $1 million or more. However, there are incredible projects that are just one step back from the beach, and you can get into a 3-bedroom like just over the 300,000 mark. So there are a lot of options, and I would suggest that we connect, or you connect with your whoever your person was that brought you in here tonight, and start that conversation. Is there a Costco or a Walmart on the North Coast? No, there is not. However, we have Dominican versions, stores that are similar to that, called La Sirena and Jumbo. And we have both of those available in Puerto Plata, and we've got a mini version right here near the office. But those are going to be in the slightly larger cities, such as Puerto Plata, Santiago. Okay. Yes, and we have our Price Mart, which is in Santiago, which is like a Costco, but there's none right here. Let's see. So Hector, great question. In my experience, how's the quality of the products in the grocery store and the prices? Great question. Anything that's produced here in the Dominican Republic is incredibly affordable. We have, your regular, standard industrial agricultural products. We have amazing locally produced fresh fruit and veggie. And we also have a few wonderful organic farms nearby with the smaller selections, but great stuff. There are many of your imported favorites. You might not find everything, but you will be more than happy here, and you will be able to find most of your favorite products that you're used to having. And anything you can't, you can ship in. You can continue to use your Amazon and pick up something nearby. We have what are called freight forwarding companies that get you an address in, say, Miami, Florida, and you will continue to use your Amazon or any of your other online services to ship to Miami. Then they will bring it from Miami over to here. Of course, you get to pay for the second journey, but you can get it quite easily within 3 to 5 days of it landing at your address in Miami. Okay. All right. Now, have I missed anything? Okay, so is the Sua Ocean Village good for ROI? Yes, it is. So Sua Ocean Village is an incredible gated community with many different amenities, such as a water park. It's got tennis courts. It has incredible restaurants. It has a gym. There's so many reasons that makes the Sua Ocean Village, very attractive. It is very safe. You would feel very comfortable as a North American being in there, and you can have an Airbnb experience that is as close to being resort-like as you're going to get here, at least here in the Sosua Cabarete area. All right. Does our office work with insurance agents? Yes. So we don't have any in-house insurance agents. However, we have very wonderful and close relationships with several excellent providers from different companies. So you can feel free to shop around and we'll happily introduce you directly to some of the best people on the North Coast. Yeah. So self-service. Yep. We've got great self-service here. The big providers here are Altice and Claro. And coming here, you can just grab a SIM card quite easily, and then you can do both pay as you go, or you can set up a contract. So whatever works best for you. And I tend to recommend people bring their unlocked phones down, pop out, get a new SIM card, and away you go. You can be up and running for, I think, $10, $15. So it's quite easy to get a number, and then it's easy to do pay as you go on the phone. All right. Let's see if I missed anything. Should I choose to build my own house? And how much is the cost of construction per square meter? Yeah, I mean, building is a great option. If you have a really specific vision and you'd love to work with our architects and designers to help you bring that to life, that is an absolutely great option. Building here is anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 per square meter. Okay, and that's going to depend on how expensive you want your finishes to be and the the intricacies of the design of your project. But it's a good benchmark there. So Rod, you are looking at a few properties in Sua Ocean Village. Do they come with a lot of rules and regulations? There are, yes, of course, rules and regulations in Sua Ocean Village. And what we would do with you is we'd walk you through all those rules and regulations so that, again, you can make 100% informed decision about what you're going to be purchasing, so you can see if those rules and regulations are going to work for you. Okay? All right. Amazing. This has been an incredible evening, everyone. If there are any, I think we've got a few more questions here in the Q&A that I've missed. All right. So let's see. Fatima, you're asking about colleges in the DR. There are colleges in the DR, but they're definitely all going to be in Espanol. So if Espanol works for you, that's great. And we could help you connect with the university to see what you would need in order to enroll. And okay, yeah, Fabian, I just answered that one over in the other chats. I think I got anyone's questions. Did I miss anything? Okay, does every property, Sam, great question. Does every property have HOA fees? No. There are some properties that you can purchase that aren't inside of a gated community and they will not have an HOA fee. That means that you get to make sure that you provide the security for your property, any backup power. Those are the most common things that are shared between multiple owners in a gated community are going to be security and backup power. Okay, so those are the two biggest costs. And then obviously the rest for a gated community are any common areas and things like that. Okay. Besides purchasing a home in the DR, can a foreigner operate a business company too? Absolutely. Welcome. You absolutely can. I would highly suggest that if you want to get into operating a business or a company, that you do pursue residency. And that you get started with the guidance of, say, an accountant. That's just going to help you make sure that you get through the process as seamlessly and easily as you'd like. But absolutely, there are many foreigners here that own and operate businesses, which is another reason why it makes it so easy to come here and just live here. If we need a well drilled, how much roughly would it cost? Again, it's going to depend on the depth that the drilling needs to happen on, but it is not prohibitive. I can't remember off the top of my head. I had some clients who drilled one not too long ago, but I remember that it was reasonable. So it is not a crazy expense. Like it's like around, I think, like 1,000, like one to $3,000, something like that, depending on the size, the depth, stuff like that. I'm pretty sure. So Grant, I'll get you more specific information on that. Okay. Okay. Are there any programs for autistic adults? I'm not certain. That's a great question, and it's one that I will need to go and do some digging for you, but I can absolutely find you the answer. Okay. All right, everyone. So, what an incredible evening. Oh my goodness. Are there any security concerns for part-time residents? No. Generally speaking, here it is very, very safe, especially here on the North Coast. We're a quiet, beach town. So yes, are there a few things that happen once in a while? Of course there are going to be. The average salary here is around $350 to $400 a month for, minimum wage laborers. So obviously, from time to time, there are going to be some opportunistic moments and things happen, but it is not a dangerous place. I have lived here again 26 years of my life. I have two young girls, and I have never felt afraid for a moment in my life. I feel more worried when I'm in Toronto or I'm in Miami or I'm in any other big city in the world than I ever do here. I feel very safe. Is there crime in Dominican Republic? Of course there is. But again, crime lives where there's lots of people, which is generally the big cities. And it's not like common sense rules apply here. It is very, very safe. If you are staying out of trouble, trouble's not going to find you. You're going to be all right. Okay. So Rosa, great question. So you see on our website that we've got several properties in each one. Yes. So that's going to be the listing agent for the property. However, if you're already working, say you're working with me, for example, you don't need to contact that agent for that property. You and I work together and I'll contact that agent on your behalf for that property. So you don't need to worry about that. Whoever that first person you're with who is taking you through the process, you stick with that person as long as they're doing a great job for you. And you don't need to worry about the different agents for different properties. Okay. Yes. Will you be able to rewatch this webinar? You sure will. You're going to get it in an email tomorrow. So you're going to want to keep your eyes open for that and make sure if you don't see it, say by midday tomorrow, that you're checking your promotions box or your spam box to make sure that it didn't get misplaced. Rod, you are so welcome. In Cabarete, okay. And Neris, that is a great question, depending on the level of, okay. So I'm guessing you're answering a question there, Neris. Great. Okay. Everyone, spectacular questions tonight. Great questions. I hope that you enjoyed this opportunity to learn more about this process of getting into real estate here. What I want to leave you with is that I trust that if this information has been helpful to you, that we will be having a conversation very, very, very soon. Don't wait. The best time, to move on real estate is today. Okay. And from someone who left Canada at the age of 25, who moved here 26 years ago, and who has never looked back. I can tell you from the bottom of my heart, as a human being, as a mother, and as a homeowner, that it's been the best decision that I ever made in my life. And I can't wait to connect with some of you, all of you, and I can't wait for you all to be amazing members of this great place that I call home here in the Dominican Republic. It is truly special, and I can't wait to share it with you. So thank you very, very much. Yes, Roberto, yesterday, pero hoy. So thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. And have a beautiful, wonderful night. Keep an eye out for the email with the replay and the slides from tonight. They'll be hitting your inbox at some point tomorrow. And feel free, reach out to me. Do it now. send me a message and let's get on each other's calendars and let's get a call scheduled. You know, I have a lot of information that I would love to share with you. Tonight was just a glimmer. I'm sure that you all have more specific personal questions, and I can't wait to answer all of them for you. And again, get you here as soon as possible. So from the north coast of the Dominican Republic, I bid you all a wonderful evening, and we will see you all here very, very soon. Thank you. Good night.